How you doing? My name is Jeffrey Colby. I am the owner and operator of the Playboy Barber Shop located in Gary, Indiana. Welcome to the Playboy. Third generation owner and barber of the Playboy Barber Shop. My mother and grandmother started this business back in 1965.
My name is Audrey Mae Jenkins, and this is where the story begins. I was born in Paducah, Kentucky, the only child of George and Mae Jefferson. I grew up in Carrier Mills, Illinois, where life wasn't always easy. But that's where I met my husband, Chelsea Jenkins, and together we raised our two children, Patricia Joanne and Chelsea Wayne. When we moved to Hammond, Indiana in the 1940s, I dreamed of becoming a nurse, but I quickly learned I couldn't stand the sight of blood. So I decided to help people in another way, by making them look good and feel good about themselves. In 1952, I enrolled at Barber College in Chicago. I worked hard as an apprentice, training under a master barber until I earned the title of master barber myself. I always believed real skill came with time, discipline, and patience. A few years later, my boss told me if I took a vacation to Los Angeles, I'd lose my chair. I went anyway. Before I left, I told my husband, find me a building and build me a barbershop. And that's exactly what he did. When I returned, I opened my first business, Hollywood Barber Shop, right on the corner of 21st and Tennessee in Gary. Soon after, my daughter Patricia joined me. In 1965, I opened a new shop on West 11th Avenue. I called it the Playboy Barber Style Shop. I wanted Gary to have what New York, Los Angeles, and Atlanta had, and I made sure my customers got it first. In 1970, I moved again, opening the first Black-owned barbershop in Glen Park.
My grandmother's influence on me was everything. If my mother wasn't my mother, that would be my mother. That's how important she was to me. And to everybody she touched, she had that type of magic about her. You know, some people have that magic where they could touch you and make you feel a certain way about yourself that no one else can do. This was my grandmother, and her intuition and venomousness and how she approached this business and this profession was above and beyond anybody else I've ever seen. You know, she brought a lot of things to Gary, Indiana that weren't in Gary, Indiana. You know, as far as she would go to different states, New York, California, down in Atlanta, Georgia, and she would bring all those styles back to Gary and be the first one. Anybody would come into Playboy Barber Shop when my grandmother was around and walk up with a haircut that nobody's ever seen in this city. And then everybody started duplicating and copying. So she was an original and she was an innovator. You know, that was her whole role in this game.
Barbershop, when I started having Audrey cut my hair, was located on 15th Avenue in Gary. And the reason I went there was I had just begun to lose my hair. And there's a fellow I met that said that Audrey Jenkins can grow hair on your head. So he said, go over to 15th Avenue, and so I did and introduced myself, and that's how I came to meet Audrey. The thing that I really appreciate about Audrey Jenkins is that she was really a very bright woman, a very bright person, let me put it like that. And she had what I consider to be entrepreneurial juice. Is I know how Audrey felt. I know what it meant to be an entrepreneur, to have the juices, to do the work, and do it as best you possibly could all of the time.
I said, man, I was 1 year old when they started. You know, they had been cutting already, but I was 1 year old when they opened this business. You know, December 1st is the big day when my grandmother first named it the Playboy Barber Shop and started cutting under that brand. And it's just, I look back at the years, I look back at the times, that how things have changed and how things have evolved, and sometimes things have stayed the same, you know. And it's always, and I think about all these chairs in here, how many people have been sat in these chairs over tens of thousands of people over the decades have sat in these chairs and had conversation, had moments with each and every barber that's cut behind these chairs, and they've supported us. You know, they've made this part of their home.
That thing over there, those pictures, man, I can't tell you, that's a lot of life over there. It's a lot of life over there. And that Audrey Jenkins is responsible.
I'm Patricia Jenkins Colby, Audrey's daughter, and her partner in building Playboy Barber Shop. I was born in Carrier Mills, Illinois, and grew up right alongside the shop. I graduated from Hammond High School in 1957, then went to Barber College in East Chicago. It wasn't long before I had my license in hand and was standing next to my mother at the Hollywood Barber Shop. From the very beginning, I wanted to prove myself. So I studied hard, practiced every day, and learned to cut with speed and precision. People started noticing. They said I was one of the fastest barbers in the city. But it wasn't just about being fast. For me, it was about pride. I wanted every cut to be sharp, every client to leave feeling their best. I felt like we had stepped into something bigger.
My mother was a little bit different. She wasn't as outgoing as my grandmother was, but she was a strong person and a strong individual and a loving person and one great barber. I mean, she could cut hair like nobody's business. And losing her and losing my grandmother were devastating blows to me. And I tried to keep the business going as best as I could, you know, without their presence being here, but with their spirit being in the business.
Well, I've been coming here since January of 1966. The reason why I can remember that's when I got out of the Army that month. So the first person to cut my hair was Pat, Jeff's mom. That was in 66. Quite naturally, the barber shops in Gary years ago, they all had checkerboards. And I thought I was a pretty good checker player at that time, but which I'm good now. And later on, they had the guy there who was barber then, but I didn't remember his name, but they called him Knuckles. And Knuckles could play some checkers. So even when I didn't have to get a haircut, I'd go across there, we played checkers. So, I mean, it was a nice, friendly atmosphere there.
I've been a customer for over 35 years. My first interaction with the shop was Mother Pat, Mom, and I've been here ever since. This is my family. And I didn't know what barber was going to cut my hair when I walked in the door. And I signed my name on the thing there. Mother Pat called me up next, and I was sitting in her chair until she stopped cutting hair.
I speak to them every day, actually. I talk to both of them every day. I wear both of them on my arms. You know, I got tattoos of my mother and my grandmother's arms. So I'm in constant conference with them. And I'm always asking through myself, am I doing this the right way? Is this what you wanted? Is this what you would have done? What should I do differently? Should I add, delete, or multiply? You know what I mean? So those are the things I'm always constantly in conversation with them. And sometimes I think I fall short, but you know, I believe in their hearts they would say, "No, you're doing great. You know, you're doing what we want you to do. You're keeping it up, and you're making it go forward." So I'm always in conversation with both of them.
This was the place where guys come to talk. This was the place you talk about your problems, what's going on outside there, politics, sports, you name it. The climate was embracing. It was comfortable. It was home. It was a place where you learned secrets and didn't tell yours. But no, it was just a place you could collaborate. It was, you know, it was more than coming to get a haircut. You know, my conversations with Mom were transitional. They were more than her being my barber. They were learning lessons. We talked about life. talked about our kids. We talked about relationships. She knew every aspect. Well, I call her mom. She knew every aspect of Terrell, from the kids, the wife, everything that was going on in my life. When I started traveling around the country, building things in that nature, she gave me advice. You know, so she was more than someone that cut my hair.
It was fascinating to come in, and I would come in just to watch, I didn't say a lot, just watch, because I found out that the Lord gave me 2 ears and 1 mouth, and so I figured, why don't I practice listening a little bit more and try to talk? Okay.
I remember when I was kind of searching to figure out where I wanted to be career-wise and focus on it. And I really wasn't sure. And Mom said, nobody gonna be sure but yourself. You gotta be sure of you. Period. You gotta be sure of you. You know, can't walk around here feeling sorry for yourself, Terrell. You gotta be sure of you. You know what you can do, so go out and do it.
I am the proud to be third generation owner and master barber of the Playboy Barber and Style Shop. I grew up in this shop. Over the years, watching my grandmother Audrey and my mother Patricia cut hair. My path wasn't straightforward into barbering. I went to Montana Tech, where I earned a degree in communications, and played football, which is where I thought my future lied. Sports taught me discipline, teamwork, and resilience. Lessons that served me very well every day behind the chair. Being inducted into the Hammond Sports Hall of Fame, the Montana Tech Sports Hall of Fame, as well as the Butte, Montana Sports Hall of Fame were all huge honors, but they pale in comparison as to carrying my family's legacy forward. I was blessed to work alongside my grandmother until 1999 and my mother until 2015. Kemp Bryant, a very talented master barber who had been a part of the shop for over 30 years, retired in 2023. Playboy Barber Shop was recognized by the city of Gary and the then Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson as Gary's first ever legacy legendary business. The award was a testament not to me, but to my grandmother's vision and passion on becoming a prominent figure in a male-dominant profession in the 1950s, and to all the barbers who helped to build this shop into what it is today. For 60 years, this has been more than a barber shop. It has been a home, a school, and a community. And as long as I am here, that tradition will live on. This was a place where people would come, have a conversation, talk, debate issues, politics, religion, and it was all safe here. This was a safe zone, and there wasn't a lot of drama. It's just good, clean fun and good, clean arguing,
Since 1966, only 3 barbers have cut my hair since the Jenkins and Colby family. To be honest with you, I haven't looked at another barbershop since coming here.
My whole goal is just to keep every day, try to keep it fresh and keep it moving in the right direction. That's the whole purpose of what I do.
I know I can come here and get a haircut and not tell him how I want it cut because he knows. And it's just important coming in, and at times there's a big sports conversation going on here. And it's always something you can talk about here, about current news or what's going on in the city or what's going on with baseball or whatever. And these are the things that you can talk about here, stuff there.
I think this aspect of this cycle for Playboy is because it wasn't the haircut per se. It was the feeling of respect that you got when you walked in the door. You were respected. And no matter what you were going through, if you needed a helping hand, if you needed a lift up, if I was short on funds and I needed a haircut to look good for that interview, Mom was going to help me. So that type of love, unconditional love you got through here, you can't get it anywhere else.
I've written 3 books. My first book is The Power to Think Differently, and it was all about things that I've transpired in my life as far as my challenges, opportunities I've met, my victories in life, and that goes back to when I was a kid. And I talked about my grandmother in there because she was the key component. If there was ever a squeaky wheel, she had the oil for it, and it was just her presence in my life, I can't compare, because she was the one that got me into this business, because she asked me if I wanted to learn how to cut hair, had I ever thought about cutting hair. And I was like, no, I never, and I hadn't. I never thought about cutting hair. I'd been working in different industries. And she said, well, I want to retire, so I want somebody to help your mom run the business. Consider going to barber college. And when I retire, you can work here, with your mom part-time if you want to, full-time, whatever. So I did, started cutting hair, fell in love with it. And she was my mentor till she got sick, really sick. And then my mom took over the position that she had, in that position. So working with my mother was great because she's a quiet person, I'm an outgoing person. So my grandmother's an outgoing person, so that kind of the yin and the yang of the whole thing suited her fine, because you do it. That was her thing. You go ahead and take care of that part. I got this part. So it was great. Just respecting the fact and honoring my grandmother and my mother. That's what it's all about for me. Everybody's life has different situations they go through, and it's going to be positive things, it's going to be negative things, and it's how you handle those things and what you allow those things to position you allow those things to put you in is where the direction your life is going to go. If you can take the negative and make it a positive, that's what it's all about, because everything starts on the inside. Everything you do starts on the inside of you. So those things right there, that's what my books focus on, is to encourage people, to motivate people, and to inspire people to want to do better for themselves.
As a barber, he is the ultimate consummate professional. He has come to my classroom and talked to my students and cut their hair as he was talking to them, and talked about the business and what you have to have, because we have a lot of students that desire to do this but not doing it the right way. He's done it the right way. And he discussed business with them, and to a point I had one student that he left my classroom after Jeff cut his hair, and I had people knocking on my door saying, Mr. T, can you bring Mr. Colby back? Because dude is looking so good, and just the compliments he got. And what more than his haircut did for him, that young man he cut, he gave him confidence. Being an only child, it developed my family because Jeff became my brother. Not that he wanted to or not, but he didn't apply for it, but he became my brother.
He, to me, he's the greatest. That was passed on by his grandmother and mother as being a barber, and listen to him because he really knows what he's doing there. So,
now you want me to cry. How proud she is of her son. Period.
What I want to do now is going to introduce the name of my new podcast YouTube channel. Is going to be Barbering and Bios, where I'm going to do my history of my shop here, but I'm going to come to other shops in your area to do barbers in their shops and talk to them about the history of their shop, how they got started, and the way they see the business has gone, and way they want the direction of this business to go. So hit the like or subscribe on the screen. Thank you.